The Champions League knockouts are here, which feels a little fast considering the league stage just ended, but there are only 24 teams left. We've added a twist to these Champions League knockouts. Everybody releases every player. They're in this giant pool, and then all the clubs come back in to draft players from that pool, and the first overall pick goes to Real Madrid. Of course, it was random, allegedly, but I still have a feeling Florentino Perez had something to do with this. And with their first selection, they take Harry Kane to be their striker. The second overall pick is Manchester City. Now I'm getting suspicious. It was rigged. But it is a snake draft. That means even though they're picking early here, they're going to pick really late in the second round. It inverts words. Manchester City selects Robert Lewandowski with the second overall pick, and that brings up Brest. I didn't even make the joke. Shut up. They've selected Mohamed Salah, the Liverpool winger. Aston Villa goes fourth, and I think they got confused and picked the wrong Martinez. They've gone with Lautaro Martinez. Emmy is still waiting. Atalanta goes fifth and takes Antoine Griezmann. And if you have never watched a draft video before, the Football Manager logic loves to take forwards in the first round. It's generally pretty bad at drafting, but let's not pretend these clubs would actually be good at drafting in real life either. And the weird picks start with Inter going next and taking Gabriel Jesus. But one of the darlings of every draft we do, the seventh overall pick for Atletico Madrid is Ansu Fati. He's on the Barcelona roster, so he's in the player pool, and he's gone seventh overall. His potential is like a drug to these teams. Meanwhile, Victor Gyökeres falls all the way to ninth with Feyenoord. Darwin Nunez heads to Bayer Leverkusen with the 11th pick. Arsenal opens strong with the 13th pick on Randall Kolo Muani. Barcelona misunderstands the assignment and picks high potential striker Vitor Roque with the 19th pick. We have an Alvaro Morata sighting in the first round. Even though he was loaned out to Galatasaray in January, in real life, he's still in this player pool from the league stage. PSV's picked him up. Liverpool got Cody Gakpo. Well, that's not very exciting. And the first round ends with Club Bruges picking up Bradley Barcola. They start the second round, which is where midfielders start to get picked, with a Martin Odegaard pick, and that's a very good pairing. Leverkusen is the next pick, and they pick up Declan Rice. AC Milan grabs Pedri, and then PSG grabs Joshua Kimmich. Jamal Musiala falls to the 33rd pick and is picked up by Juventus, with Brest picking up Florian Wirtz with the next pick. They're building a good team. But nothing really tops a Henrik Mkhitaryan pick in the second round for Arsenal. The first goalkeeper off the board is Liverpool's Alisson, followed by Marc-Andre ter Stegen, Jan Oblak, and Gianluigi Donnarumma, who's headed to Celtic. By round 4, it's center back time, and the first one off the board is Virgil van Dijk to AC Milan. PSG follows that with a Ronald Araujo. I'm also liking this Club Bruges team with the Ibrahimo Konate pickup as their first center back. And the teams power through the rounds, building their team. Big names off the board like Bukayo Saka to Bayern Munich with the 121st pick. Ousmane Dembele's headed back to Dortmund. Brest has picked up American hero Christian Pulisic. And even though he fell all the way to the 143rd pick, Lamine Yamal is headed to Sporting. Hell yeah, John McGinn to Inter. I love that. Conor Gallagher to Monaco. And before long, each team had 25 new players that they drafted from all of the other Champions League teams. The top 3 players that were overlooked, Pascal Gross, Ivan Perisic, and Remy Cabella. They also didn't pick up midfield orchestrator Daniel Braganza. But everybody else that was overlooked was valued under 10 million. So basically everybody else has been picked up. And now it's time to draw the tournament. Not only the draft order was random, because we have 24 teams, 8 teams are randomly selected to just skip the first round. You'd probably rather have that than bad draft picks. And with the first round set, it's Atalanta against Aston Villa. Atalanta featuring a Milik, Trossard, Olmo, and Griezmann front four against a Villa team with Lautaro Martinez, Samuelino, and Angel Di Maria. Zaire Emery, Locatelli, and Darun's a good midfield. But it wouldn't be good enough to stop an early attack from Atalanta, but Darun responded in the 19th minute for Aston Villa. It's already unusual to have them in Europe, so they are able to handle the unusualness of the draft well. Their first round pick, Lautaro Martinez, scores to give them the 2-1 win at home. And on the return trip, a late disallowed goal for Leandro Trossard playing for Atalanta completed the broken hearts. Much the same as in real life, Atalanta bows out in the first round, while Aston Villa stays alive. The next matchup would be Atletico Madrid against Real Madrid. It's a Madrid derby with these randomly selected teams, but we know Real Madrid has that magic. They got the first overall pick, and they've got Harry Kane up top. Well, Atletico Madrid burned their first round pick on Ansu Fati and has Arnautovic up front. But Atletico Madrid's got an interesting combination of fullbacks, Zinchenko and Alexander Alexander-Arnold with a Vitinha-Xhaka midfield. I mean, an impossible team to figure. So naturally, they rock up and beat Real Madrid 1-0 in the first leg. And remarkably, the second leg is a 0-0. Harry Kane dropped consecutive 6.5s, and he is still chasing that first trophy. Eliminated as the first overall pick with Real Madrid. Not even the Real Madrid magic could save him. I mean, they were playing Briel and Bolo on the wing. I don't think this was ever going to work. The third matchup was Barcelona against Lille, and Barcelona featured Vitor Roque, Kvaratskhelia, De Ketelaere, and Salamakers. They were just looking for as many combinations of A, E, and a name as they could possibly find. Well, a front two of Victor Boniface and Gabby Martinelli features for Lille. They've also popped Weston McKennie out to the right wing. I guess he is a natural in the game at that position. But with 2 goals from Kvaratskhelia, Barcelona romps to a 4-2 win in the opening leg. And a hapless Lille is steered out of the competition as Salamakers scores for Barcelona, and it's a somber and quick goodbye for the French team that put their faith in Gabby Martinelli with their first overall pick. The fourth matchup was much the same as Atletico against Real. We have Bayer Leverkusen against Bayern Munich, a matchup of domestic prowess made up of randomly selected teams. And even though Bayern Munich was running up the XG, it would be Bayer Leverkusen that broke the ice with an atrocious own goal off Alex Moreno for Bayern. Then Declan Rice picks out to Paul, who finds Brian, like the one from Family Guy.
What?
But in the 19th minute, Bayern Munich would respond, thanks to Marcus Thuram out-battling Tyrone Mings for the header. But Bayer Leverkusen would find a miraculous third goal despite not reaching 1 XG the entire time. Jamie Bino Gittins, one of their very early pickups, finds Jovic to make it 3-1. McGregor, it's Okafor! Oh, he's got Lang! Thuram also had a goal disallowed, and Bayern had to be fuming. So much so that they took their anger out very early in the second leg of this tie. A terrible back pass from Declan Rice finds Noah Okafor to give Bayern Munich 1 goal to try and close the distance. And then just a few minutes later, it was Noah Lang to give Bayern Munich the lead. But Leverkusen would not go quietly into that good night. Declan Rice with a deflection, but a goal. The goal had the two teams tied on aggregate going into the 61st minute when Declan Rice managed to score again to put Bayer Leverkusen in front by a goal on aggregate. But Bayern Munich responded. 79th minute, Marcus Thuram, and we are tied. Headed to extra time until McGregor, Szoboszlai, Noah Okafor! The player who's on loan from his club AC Milan in real life has been drafted into this competition and proven he has what it takes to play Champions League ball. And the team with Declan Rice, Tyrone Mings, and Darwin Nunez, who you didn't even notice, is out. 4 matches left to go in the opening round, and that pitted Arsenal against Benfica. Arsenal was running Asensio, Ollie Watkins, and Kolo Muani as a front 3 with a packed-in back 7. Gotta love the inclusion of Mozambican Reinildo in the defense. Well, Benfica's running an underrated combo of Zeki Amdouni and Mehdi Taremi up top. The real feature is on the wings, where they're running Alphonso Davies and Denzel Dumfries. Hello. Didn't matter though. Arsenal grabs the 1-0 win in the first leg and the 1-0 win in the second leg with an early goal from Darmian. Benfica out. It's probably because they drafted Emerson. Then there's Liverpool against Borussia Dortmund. Liverpool featuring Folarin Balogun up front with Lee Kong-in and Cody Gakpo on the flanks. Marino, Thuram, Jorginho. A very good defense with Hernandez, Inacio, Araujo, and Wilfred Singo, who scored for Monaco in the knockouts. Dortmund has Chiesa and Sebastian Aller up front. But be very wary of Marcus Edwards and Ousmane Dembele on the outside. Liverpool was, because they won 1-0. Balogun from Singo. Second leg, Liverpool is able to gut out a 0-0 draw, and Borussia Dortmund with this team is eliminated. Well, maybe they should have drafted better, yo. PSG and Inter were drawn to play in the opening round, and it would be Inter that would grab the win in the opening leg, courtesy of a goal from Lorenzo Colombo. Their first round pick, Gabriel Jesus, did not do well. He had a 6.4. But PSG got a 6.5 from Adeyemi and a 6.7 from Boadu. And their vaunted midfield of Konrad Laimer and Yeshua Kimmich didn't do much. And by didn't do much, I mean didn't really do much in either leg. Kimmich scored a goal, but it was already too late. 2-1 to Inter under on aggregate. Colombo scored in both legs and might be a sleeper hero here. The final match had AC Milan's drafted team against PSG. And AC Milan jumped all over him with the Sorloth-Vlahovic pairing in the front of a back five, absolutely dominant. PSV got a 6.2 from Alvaro Morata, and Leroy Sané was the only player to break a 7. It's hard to win when your center backs are on a 6.2 and a 6.3. PSV woke up in the second leg and actually put together nearly 3 XG, but they couldn't do anything with it. They scored 2 goals, but so did AC Milan. So Milan coasts through comfortably, and Dusan Vlahovic is sitting on 3 goals after 2 matches. Now there's only 16 teams remaining. 8 have had time to gel with their draft picks and learn their styles, while the other 8 haven't. And we're meeting them for the first time. 2 of those are playing against each other. That's just how the draft draw works. I don't make the rules. Club Brugge and Monaco. Congrats on getting the bye, Club Brugge, but you kind of got crushed. Bradley Barcola and Ademola Lookman as a front 2 is not necessarily the move, and Odegaard dropped the 6.4 for them. Even the back line with Calafiori and Konate, dang. Instead it was Monaco, led by Rafinha, Conor Gallagher, and Zagrova. They made up for an impotent Diogo Jota to put 4 goals by Bruges. And oh, by the way, that's 4 goals in the first half. A second half goal gives Bruges just a shadow of a chance. And in the second leg, Club Brugge would at least give themselves a chance. Bradley Barcola to Julian Brandt.
Yeah!
And now they're down only 1 goal on aggregate, but not for long. Hello, Conor Gallagher. Less than a half hour to go, and they need 2 goals to stay alive, 3 to win. And there's 1 from Ibrahima Konate. Corner cheese. Corner cheese. It's Odegaard! And in the 88th minute, with the match tied on aggregate, they allowed 4 goals in the first half of the first leg. It's Bakker, the Dutchman from Lille, that wins it for Club Brugge. An absolutely excruciating elimination from a team that looked like one of the favorites for the competition in the first leg. Rafinha had a 5.9. Another matchup of teams that got a first round bye was a shootout. Feyenoord against Sporting. Sporting had De Jong, Gio Reyna, and Julian Alvarez as their front 3, but the real star in the midfield was Ruben Loftus-Cheek. See, Gyökeres and Skamaka, a massive physical front line for Feyenoord, allowed a breakthrough in a 2-1 lead until the 81st minute, when a cheeky pass from Ruben Loftus-Cheek set up Lamine Yamal for the goal for Sporting to make it 2-2. And then Loftus-Cheek did it himself to give Sporting a turnaround 3-2 win. He then assisted a goal to De Jong 9 minutes into the second leg as Sporting pulled away to an eventual 5-3 victory, eliminating a very fun-looking Feyenoord side that never was able to get off the ground. Then there was a third matchup of teams that didn't play in the first round between Brest and Manchester City. Normally, you would expect a blowout for Man City, but with these drafted teams, who the hell knows? Although Man City does have Robert Lewandowski leading the line, while Stade Brestois has El Bilal Touré next to Mo Salah, with a Wirtz, Ederson, Pulisic, Correa midfield, Tierney, Timber, Tapsoba, and Van der. This is a wild team. So naturally, they were able to hang on to a tough 0-0 draw. It would take over 3 halves for the first goal to happen in this tie, and it was Manchester City's Marcos Llorente with an absolute screamer. But Brest left it late. Florian Wirtz to El Bilal Touré in extra time is beckoning, until a bad pass is intercepted. Christian Pulisic finds an absolute dime to Touré, who finds Mo Salah, who gives Brest the win at the death. Real Madrid and Man City, the top 2 draft picks in this tournament, have both been eliminated in their first round of action. And Brest's exciting team is still alive. The other 2 teams to be introduced for the first time were Celtic taking on Liverpool, the team with Balogun and Gakpo and Lee Kong-in. And Celtic's defense played an absolute barnstormer. Ben Sebaini, Schlotterbeck, Christensen, and Calabria dropped at lowest a 7.4. As a result, Celtic grabbed a 1-0 win through a goal from Guirassy. But in the second leg, Liverpool responded. Gakpo with a beautiful delivery to Balogun, who scored once again for this Liverpool team. This takes us to extra time, where a combination passing play sets up Nico Schlotterbeck to score the winner for Celtic, assisted by not Zlatan, but Aryan Ibrahimovic, a player that's technically on the books of Bayern Munich, by the way. So this time Celtic pulls off the upset. But let's be honest, it never looked like Liverpool drafted that good of a team. I'm surprised they made as much of a game of it as they did. And the final team to be introduced used to is Juventus. They would be taking on Arsenal in this round and featured Gonzalo Ramos, Thomas Muller, and Kingsley Coman up front. But the sneaky superstar Jamal Musiala might just make this team tick. But 2 goals from Davide Fratesi would inspire, of course in Italian for Juventus, a 2-1 win. Arsenal's traditional adherence to playing a bunch of defenders didn't quite pan out for them in the first leg. But in the second, it just might. Matteo Darmian wins a scrappy header to equalize the aggregate, and then in the second half, it's Randall Kolo Muani heading by Carnesecchi. Maybe the Atalanta goalkeeper could have done better, but Arsenal is alive into the quarterfinal. Then, of course, there were 3 ties between teams that both won in the previous round, starting with the obviously even matchup of Aston Villa against Bayern Munich. Bayern, of course, is the team with the flying Noahs, Noah Lang and Noah Okafor, while Villa's the one led by Lautaro Martinez. The first leg was a 1-1 draw, but in the second leg, it would be another heroic teenager, Warren Zaire-Emery, with the fortune of the inside of the post, scoring the only goal to put Aston Villa through and knock out another one of the giants. Man City, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid all gone. Atletico Madrid played its second straight piece of Spanish opposition, and despite the fact Ansu Fati wasn't doing anything, Jakob Moder scored off the bench to make it a 1-1 contest. A reminder, Barcelona's starting striker's not much better. It's Vitor Roque, but they got their goal from Francesco Acerbi, of course. With the second leg entirely up for grabs, there would be one player that would wholly seize the moment, and that would be Ferran Torres, who started the game by absolutely cooking the defense and delivering a wonderful cross to set up a goal eventually for Thiago Gouveia. And then with a 1-goal lead in aggregate in the second half, it would be Ferran Torres that would knife in and score a perfectly placed shot by Mamardashvili. This put Barcelona on life support, which was promptly stamped out by Ansu Fati, delivering to none other than Ferran Torres. This means Atletico Madrid's knocked out Real Madrid and Barcelona, and they really should try to appeal to La Liga to start a draft. But there was one more match to be settled, an old-fashioned Italian showdown. Inter against AC Milan. AC Milan, the team with the Sorloth Vlahovic front line and Gonçalves and Pedri, while Inter has Colombo. I mean, they have a good defense. Hernandez, Saliba, Ta. The most important part of the entire team is Colombo. Just a domineering presence up front. Teo Hernandez managed to stop diving long enough in order to score a goal off the left back position, and Canadian Jonathan David got in on the act as well. That's a pretty good option off the bench. AC Milan could only muster 1 goal in the second leg, giving Inter a straight line to the quarters. Goodbye, Vlahovic Sorloth front line. Goodbye, Guerrero and Hakimi and Van Dijk and Kwanzaa. The quarterfinals, what everybody expected for the Champions League. Aston Villa against Arsenal. Atletico Madrid against Brest, Celtic against Club Brugge, and Sporting against Inter. We'll start with the one you've all been waiting for, Club Brugge against Celtic. And this one was all the mighty Club Brugge. Ademola Lookman, who was eliminated by Club Brugge in the real Champions League. Wait, what am I saying? This is the real Champions League. Well, he had 2 assists in the first 9 minutes. Granted, both were bangers. Julian Brandt added a second goal in the 27th minute, and Bruges cruised to a 3-0 win. The impressive Dutch wingback Bakker scored again in the second leg, and Bruges, all of a sudden dominant, headed to the semi-final after their amazing comeback against Monaco in the last round. Celtic's team that managed to survive in the round of 16 through excellent defense just fell apart. Goodbye, Schlotterbeck and Christensen. Then there was the all-English showdown, Aston Villa against Arsenal. Man City and Liverpool are already out, so one of the English teams is going to be carrying the English flag to the semis. And it was a corner from Bissek that made the difference for Aston Villa in the first leg. And it was a set piece to Bissek that made the difference for Aston Villa in the second leg. Villa 2-0 on aggregate. Absolutely nothing going forward for Arsenal. Kolo Muani and Asensio just couldn't even find the goal. Henrik Mkhitaryan, who they picked really high, basically never played. But it would be joining Club Brugge and Aston Villa, 2 powerhouses in the semi-final. Would it be Brest or Atletico Madrid, who's eliminated Real Madrid and Barcelona? Well, Atletico Madrid got things started hot. Arnautovic ripping right down the middle of the team, scoring an absolute banger. The problem is you can take the players out of Atletico Madrid, but you can't take the philosophy out of Atletico Madrid. Thiago Gouveia picked up his second yellow card in just the 32nd minute of play. And then in the 59th minute, Bremer, the center back, picked up his second yellow card with a foul on El Bilal Touré. This meant Atletico Madrid was down to 9 men, but still had a 1-0 lead. But a 66-minute set piece set up Kieran Tierney for a ridiculous banger to level things. And the rest of the match would see Atletico Madrid under siege, with Correa breaking through in the 72nd to give Brest what would be eventually a 2-1 win, which is kind of a win for Atletico Madrid somehow. But with 2 players suspended, they couldn't recover. Mo Salah scored a pin in the first half, and Brest was able to hang on to win the tie 3-2. This means we've got Aston Villa, Brest, and Club Brugge in the semifinals. Would it be Inter or Sporting to join our unlikely group of heroes? And speaking of unlikely, Inter's diverse, talented team was undone by Sporting's band of misfit toys. Of all people, it would be the American Gio Reyna on a lovely ball from Ba that would give Sporting the 1-0 win. And it was almost perfect, but it would become American on American violence as John McGinn finds Timmy Weah at the back post for Inter to force extra time. And in extra time, once again, it was John McGinn making an aggressive pass that eventually finds its way to that man, Colombo. It's what he does. An extra time win for Inter, and the Final Four is set. We've seen every team play a couple of times, so take your pick. Who's winning it? Aston Villa, Club Brugge, Brest, or Inter. Villa would play against Club Brugge first and grab the first leg 1-0. The goal came from Kim Min-jae, meaning Aston Villa won 3 straight games with center-back goals and a 1-0 win. But in the second leg, for the first time in 4 matches, Aston Villa conceded. And it was Odegaard with an absolute nonsense goal that took at least 1 deflection. The result was a penalty shootout, and Lautaro Martinez started it hot with a miss off the post for Aston Villa, and Club Brugge would never look back. The final penalty was Ademola Lookman, and even though he missed in the Champions League, in real life, he slots it home here to send Club Brugge all the way to the Champions League final. But would they be playing Mo Salah's Brest or John McGinn's Inter? It would be Theo Hernandez causing problems down the left wing for Inter again to give them the early breakthrough. But Mo Salah got on the ball and did Mo Salah things to even it up before the half. And they would actually do one better. Mo Salah would grab a second goal before the half to give Brest the lead. And then El Bilal Touré, 3-1 to Brest. But Inter wasn't out of it yet. Colombo somehow actually manages to miss a shot, but brilliantly he keeps it alive, and Barella is able to score, leaving it all to play for in the second leg. But only one team showed up: the attacking talent of Brest. El Bilal Touré got it started early. Then it was Mo Salah with his 3rd goal of the tie. And the cherry on top, a goal for Christian Pulisic on a beautiful back heel from Touré. Let's watch that again in slow motion. Oh yeah. Can anyone stop the Brest? And did anyone predict a Club Brugge Stade Brestois final? Drafts really create the ultimate parody. Familiar lineups for both teams, with Brest rocking up in its traditional 4-4-2 and Club Brugge rocking up with its more defensive formation, with Julian Brandt and Odegaard behind Lookman and Bradley Barcola. And it was, in a word, dominant from Brest. They win an early penalty, but Kobel was able to make the save on Mo Salah. But Brest would go on to create 3.74 XG. Perhaps the issue for Brest is that only led to 1 goal. The ensuing corner after the missed penalty, Mo Salah in front of a wide open empty net. And in the 70th minute, one of the stars of the tournament, the Malian El Bilal Touré, went off injured. And in the second leg, parity was restored. A domineering run from Odegaard set up Ademola Lookman, who put the shakes and the bakes on the Brest defense. Nothing Tapsoba or Urian Timber could do about that. And then a couple minutes later, with halftime beckoning, it was a cheeky ball up to Ademola Lookman. And how about that finish? The man that was vanquished by Club Brugge in real life, returning in virtual form to lead them to potential glory. Stade Brestois was finding it very difficult to create the types of chances they created in the first leg. Mo Salah would end the game on a 6.7. But in the 71st minute, Ederson got open and skied it. 95th minute, corner, Salah blocked. No way, they have a set piece, dude. Salah to take it. It's Romeu. Terrible. And Club Brugge wins the Champions League. Down in their first match to Monaco, 4-1 in the first half. They turn it around and go on a magic run, finding a way to get outplayed in nearly every round and hard carried by Ademola Lookman. Look, man, if he's scoring penalties, who knows? Maybe that's actually going to happen in real life. Club Brugge look good. If you want to see a video where I made all the biggest clubs draft their teams, you can check that one out here. Otherwise, I suggest you spend your time bowing down to our new overlords from Belgium. I'll see you on stream. Hello, Brugge. Thank you for restoring balance to the Force.